All right, we did it. We're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Where are we? We're in CERN.
Yeah.
Voxxed Days CERN. Live from Voxxed Days CERN. And you and I were just lucky enough to be in Voxxed Days Ticino. So we're in essentially Switzerland the whole time. And you are?
I'm Patrick. So I'm actually a long-time Spring trainer and also do quite a lot of things in the Spring ecosystem, and also I'm speaker here. And actually, like Voxxed Days Zurich, Voxxed Days Ticino, and Voxxed Days CERN belong to the same family.
Yeah.
And we just had the pleasure actually to take a ride, being speaker at Voxxed Days Ticino, and then taking a ride actually over to the Voxxed Days CERN and spent the whole weekend together.
Right. Oh, that was so good. Going through the Swiss Alps on trains and the beauty about
doing chocolate and cheese.
Yeah.
Like all the nice things.
And the pizza, don't forget the pizza. we temporarily passed through Italy, so I'm allowed to do the pizza.
Did you have the visa for Italy?
Yeah, American.
Obviously, yeah.
The Schengen visa, but nobody would have known because the train just goes right through it. Like in theory, somebody could have jumped out of the train. Is there such a thing as a visa for which it's only valid in Switzerland?
No, so the Schengen visa is good enough, obviously.
Yeah. Like if I can get into Switzerland, there's no situation where I couldn't get into Italy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's fine.
So you were
moot. But yeah, it was what a place. This whole. Geez, we were in the Italian part of Switzerland. So Switzerland, like Belgium, is a country of other countries, right? It's a country container. So it has it's a container of countries. It has the Italian part, the German part, and the French part. And so we passed through all three en route here. We went to the German. Zermatt is
German speaking,
right? And then Ticino is Italian, and here we're in Geneva, the French part, or a part of the French part.
So basically, we were traveling the south parts of Switzerland. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are now next door to France, and we're at CERN, which straddles both countries, right? Which is talk about the spirit of collaboration. What a place. So anyway, we're here. This has been fun. We got to hang out, but I've known you for years, and it's just really nice to finally get a chance to catch up. And what I was hoping we could just have a quick conversation about whatever. I mean, I'm curious. You're going to be doing a talk later on.
I do a talk on Spring Boot, obviously, because I am doing Spring for a long time.
Right.
But the thing is actually like what you, Josh, are showing is always like the nice examples. And I know that you love actually production.
I do.
But actually, I'm going to show like how do you optimize Spring Boot applications in production,
right?
How to run them faster, that you can basically like start up your application like twice as fast, saving about 30% memory, and also like optimizing container sizes.
Talk to me about that. There's several different dimensions there. There's a startup, and then there's runtime, and there's container RAM. Disk size.
Yeah.
Right? So pick one and start. What are we looking at here? What's the most important of those metrics for you, by the way?
So for me, the one thing actually you forgot about is actually also throughput, because I didn't mention it.
Okay.
So that's also quite important to make our applications more efficient.
Right.
But the thing is definitely like you have so many things you can actually optimize, and you just cannot like pick all of them, because sometimes when you want to run your application a little more like performant, having more throughput, maybe you're going to use GraalVM without the native image part,
right?
But then actually like a container size gets bigger because it's just like way more heavier.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan actually also of build packs. So I construct my demos always with the build packs,
right?
Because that basically just like reduces the cognitive load of the developers. Totally. And you don't need to know like how to do things. But I've been experimenting also with technologies like Crack, for example, where you still don't have a proper build pack yet, but we'll find out what they actually will do. And I met Gerrit Grunwald at Voxxed Days Ticino, and I told him, can you actually make sure that, for example, maybe the guys from Azul or the guys from even Belsoft could actually come up with a build pack which includes actually like the Crack part, which would be quite nice. And Crack, for those who don't know, it's actually like a technique in the JDK where you snapshot a running application like memory and all the optimizations. And then actually like when you restart the application, you can already preload it with this information, and it's blazing fast. I would say comparable to actually like what we see with the GraalVM native images.
Yeah. And it's coordinated restore at checkpoint, right? So It's a thing that was initially spearheaded by Azul Systems, like you said, and we actually had Gil Tenney on the podcast back in 2018, I think. It's been a long time coming, but it's now here. You can get, as he just mentioned, Azul has Zulu, their JDK, and then
Bellsoft as well,
Iberica.
yeah. Since a few 2 months, yes.
So you can download it there, and basically it's based on a Linux technology called Cryu, and Cryu is only Linux. So if you're on Windows and Mac, you can just enjoy your glacially slow startup times.
But also, like, what I don't like, even if you run WSL with an Ubuntu inside your Windows, it does not work actually. Right. You really have to have a virtual machine with all the infrastructure abstracted, and then actually it's working.
Right.
So really, you have to have real Linux, otherwise it's not going to work.
Which is sad. So it's an amazing tech, but it's only Linux only, and the idea is basically take a photo of your image, the process running, save it to disk, and then use that to bootstrap. And when you start it with a crack on another JRE, you're not pointing to the jar, you're pointing to this image.
Yeah.
And it doesn't reinitialize, it just blips into memory. DDIFs the data of the file into RAM, basically.
And what I find surprising is also about the time, because you snapshot the time as well, and you get like wrong dates when you start the image at the beginning. So because it's really like snapshotting
sensitive to everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to give it a second to recalibrate. Any plans for crack support on Windows in the future? Well, it's not up to crack. It's up to Windows. Microsoft would have to make that decision. I wonder if they have something like that. Surely.
I don't think so. And even what I heard from Mark Reinholz was that it will never make it into the OpenJDK, into the proper default OpenJDK, because they can't make it work actually, like for macOS and Windows, because it's a technical thing. But the Spring team is supporting it from the last version they released in November, like the Spring 6.1. And actually, like Jürgen Höller told me, that they are going to continue supporting this because it's like a really nice technology, and you can have all the advantages with debugging and things you don't have at the moment, like with the GraalVM native images.
Yeah, and the debugging situation, if there is a drawback to GraalVM, it is certainly that debug cycle. I was talking to Thomas Wertinger at DevOps Belgium last year in November, October, whatever.
Yeah, October.
It was anyway. He there's no firm timelines, no dates. He was even on the show. He talked about it there, which is basically, the hope is that they can bootstrap that you could, given a class path which is fixed most of the time, compute an index, which then allows you to recompile only the delta of the image. So instead of recompiling and recomputing the whole reachability graph each time, you only recompute the delta of what's changed in the code that you've since changed since last compilation. Why is that important? Because now, in theory, compilation could go from, say, 45 seconds, 55 seconds down to 5 seconds, which is still longer than a regular JRE compile, but it's manageable. And the reason why he mentioned that is because debugging support is not imminent. Yeah. But this faster compile time might be within the next 12 months, and that would give us at least faster printout console log debugging, which is kind of a sad state of affairs, but I'll take it. Okay, I want that. But yeah, if you're on a JRE and you're just using Project Crack, now it is still a little tedious actually, because if you're on the Mac, you have to set up a remote debugger for the Docker image running your Crack program, right? It doesn't work on the Linux, it doesn't work on Mac directly anyway.
Yeah.
But the code is Java, so that's nice. Like
But the remote debugger thingy with Spring Boot is quite easy with the REST endpoint and things like that. And
it could be worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Another question. Hi, Ibrahim. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Hi.
So there is actually quite a lot to optimize, and also like in very simple terms to optimize, like in a Spring Boot application. And when I started the journey, actually, I started the journey with that talk I'm giving this afternoon here.
What time?
Last year in Ticino.
Yeah.
And I learned so much, coming up with so many different ideas, having these nice discussions with others, and like we try to find even like more things. And it almost reminds me what happened with the 1 billion rogue challenge, because like they're pushing it further, and so in a small time thing.
We had Gunnar on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
So for those of you watching, if you haven't watched that episode, go back.
It just exploded.
2 or 3 episodes. it's just a whole Cambrian explosion of different advances in accelerating your application. So we Project Crack is really good. That it's the coordinated restore checkpoint, and why is it important to know about it? Why, if it's so good, why do you have to know about it? Well, there's a life cycle. Remember, it's going to take a photo of your app. The last thing you want it to do is to take a photo of your passwords and your sensitive things, and also sockets, like a file descriptor pointing to a socket, a network socket. That's nonsensical. You don't want to take a photo of your socket descriptor on this machine and then start the image on another machine where that file descriptor would make no sense, right? So you have a life cycle that you now need to be aware of. You have to clear out that stuff. So Spring has support for if you implement initializing bean and disposable bean, you can participate in the setup and destruction of things like connection pools and all that right before the photograph, right before the checkpoint, and then right after the restore, right? You can reinitialize things after the restore. You can destroy things right before the photo, right? And that's in Spring Boot Spring Framework 6.1 and Spring Boot 3.2. All of this is very important, right? Like it makes it really possible to go fast. So okay, I like Project Crack. Good stuff. What else do you got?
Well, I did experiment like with the build packs, for example, with JLink.
Yeah.
That's an easy thing. Like experimenting with different Java versions, for example, adding compiler parameter, not compiler, but parameters for the JVM, for example.
Right.
Just like a few things here and there, and then obviously also like the virtual threads.
Tu te casses? Dans un talk?
Non.
Mais tu te casses là?
Non, juste.
Okay, tu seras là. Okay, bon. À plus tard. Okay, so yeah, you added, so JLink is another thing. That's a really great option, right? Modularity, right? That's the Java module system. Oh, sorry, Nikolai. Don't trip.
No.
Okay. Oh, sorry. The modularity is really, really important, right? Like, does that actually effectively reduce the runtime footprint?
No, but the image size.
Right. Yeah. Sorry,
well,
not
just
RAM.
maybe really a bit, but it's not so much. But actually, like the image size of the container will be like way less.
Yeah, because you don't have to pack the full JRE, right?
Yes, exactly. And that means also like transfer time for the images when you send things over the network and so on. You can reduce it. And as I found out, the virtual threads are really as good as they promised. That makes also like a huge difference. And it's basically in Spring Boot just a flag you turn on.
Spring.threads.virtual.enabled equals true.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to recompile your code. You just, as long as you're using Spring Boot 3.2, just -d spring.threads.virtual.enabled equals true when you run the jar, right?
Yeah, and it's actually awesome because that embedded Tomcat just gets instructed to use the virtual threads.
Yeah.
And it's just by default there, and you don't see anything, but you just get like way better throughput, and it's really more lightweight and so on. And I'm really looking forward like how things evolve. And another thing, actually, like what I discovered, because I'm like benchmarking since a year, different versions of Java, different versions of the Spring Boot and so on.
Right.
Like every tiny major version makes a difference, because usually my customers, because I do also some consulting, they say, we run on that version and we just stick like for the next 2 years on the same version and don't upgrade. But man, every micro version actually is like changing the performance of the JVM, and it's really like insane to see that, because when you have the numbers and you can compare them, you really see. Sometimes I think, I don't know, but sometimes I think the guys at Oracle, they just push out the version and then afterwards they're going to optimize later.
No, there's people working on this stuff all the time. That's really nice, because I don't have people in most organizations, they don't have people just optimizing the code base full time, right? They have other things to do. So the fact that Oracle's assigned somebody just to help you go faster for free, like that's amazing, right? We're in the Open JDK community, writ large.
Yeah, so it's not just only bug fixing actually, or security fixes,
optimization,
but it's really like you should go for the latest version of Java like all the time, because you can save so much money in the cloud and actually like save resources. And
Can you speak about the virtual threads? So what are virtual threads, first of all?
Well, the virtual threads are just a lightweight version of threads, which are basically like on top of a platform thread, they call it. So that means like the regular thread would be like part of the operating system, and now they put like virtual threads on top, and they're just like way lightweighter to create.
Yeah.
And but they're somehow still like connected to a platform thread. and you see also like I think you did that in the demo yesterday or like
Last
actually
week.
today and like last
Right.
week, where you could even see like that the virtual threads were like changed to another carrier thread actually.
Right. Isn't that cool? It's magic. It's like the best thing. And again, just change your factory, just change the constructor for your thread, and that's it. Or just use that property and you get that benefit. And so now, in effect, it lets you pretend you can create millions of threads because it'll transparently move you from one actual thread to another. The code changes not at all. And you get this incredible sort of you can handle a good deal many more requests at the same time, right? You'll never be exhausted.
But I think actually like what I saw is like there is some more need for RAM.
Yeah.
So you need more RAM because you have like more virtual threads in your application.
More. Yeah.
That's maybe a drawback, and that's something you see.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so do you have any numbers on the performance on?
I would have some numbers in my presentation, but I don't actually recall like all the details. So.
Okay, well, if you're at CERN, go see that presentation. I'm sure it'll be recorded somewhere.
It's recorded, yes.
Okay.
And also I have like my slides on my GitHub repositories with all the examples. So
what is that GitHub repository?
Yeah, it's actually Pat Baumgartner, like my handle I use like everywhere.
Okay.
And there you will find my talk from this, and it's called like Lean Spring Boot Applications for the Cloud. And it's public, so you'll find it for sure.
That's cool.
And actually, like when I organize events for the Java user group, people actually approach me and say, I have seen your talk there, and I'm using actually your numbers and your examples, and just have a look out there.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. We should get you maybe to do a guest blog on the Spring IO blog.
Maybe. Yes, let's find out.
I know you've got a lot to do, but
why not?
More on your plate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people should go see the talk. We're at Voxxed Days CERN.
Yeah,
but
you're saying actually like I have lots more things on my plate, and
yeah,
actually I'm also like organizing with Federico together like Voxxed Days Zurich in March.
Right.
So we have like very good speakers. We have an awesome lineup, but that stuff is all like crazy. Like conferences and submissions for conferences just exploded.
Right.
So why aren't you not there?
Nobody's invited me. Hey, I'll be there if I'm welcome. Actually, we got a great question here. I think the question is, given the same number of threads, it's less RAM. But the idea is that with virtual threads, you can create a good deal many more.
Exactly.
For a little bit more RAM, you know.
Yes.
It's like I can create millions of threads now.
You have more with many, not much amount of RAM, but actually in total it will be way more.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing.
Okay. So, but the point is, before you couldn't even create that many threads to begin with. You wouldn't have been able to. So, okay. So, yeah, I would love to go to Zurich. I haven't been to that one in years. I don't think I've been.
In years, yes. I think we met. I don't remember 2017, 18, 19, something.
What happened
like
to Jazoon?
Well, it just like went away, and that's actually the replacement. We thought Jazoon is missing, and like a proper Java conference in Switzerland is actually missing, and then actually like basically the community took over, and the Voxxed Days event is like from developers for developers, and we really want to make like conferences like with our needs and not just like somebody who wants to create like tons of money, and we want to have like good content there. So also content like we know.
See, this is why I'm not on the roster. You said good content. Now we know what happened. It's a self-excluding prophecy.
That's not true. I think actually like there might be some other reasons why.
Okay. Let's see. So we have I don't know. When is Zurich? Voxxed Days Zurich.
Voxxed Days Zurich is actually like the 7th of March.
7th of March.
Yes, it's a perfect time actually, and in spring.
Yeah, springtime.
Springtime, spring cleaning,
yeah.
all these things.
That's
yeah.
a month and a half. That's not far at all. That'll be good. All right. Well, I think we should, we
should catch up.
Disposable bean time. Are you on the internet?
Of course.
Do you want to be found?
Yes. So just use my handle, Pat Baumgartner, and you find me everywhere.
Okay. And you're also you do training, right? And you're
obviously
13 years, right? Long time.
Yeah.
And just an amazing sort of trainer. I've heard people talk about your training, well reviewed, well rated. Obviously, you're steeped in the Spring community. So if I might humbly recommend people looking for training in Western and just
in Europe,
anywhere, Europe, Pam Baumgartner. Just you could not be better served.
Thanks, and also, just connected to whole Spring community and actually like also contributing to parts of it.
Yeah.
And
you're prolific. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, my friend. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I hope you got something out of it. See you around. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll have more stuff later. You know, it's the day has just begun. Bye bye.